Ludicrous Feed is proudly sponsored by Carloop, data to empower Australia's EV revolution, and Hankook, driving emotion. Hey everyone, I'm Tom from Ludicrous Feed. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we are walking through the infotainment screen for the Deepal S07. This is the press car courtesy of Inchcape Australia, and in the Deepal you'll see there's only one screen. There's no instrument cluster screen. This is a driver monitoring device, and there is also a head-up display as well, which you can probably just see through the window. There's the bucket there for the head-up display, but we're going to focus our attention mainly on the Deepal S07 infotainment screen here today. And with any new car these days, it's inevitable that you've got to learn the system pretty quickly. It's just the way cars are these days. It's pretty much a driving computer, especially with this car. There's only one screen, so yeah, that's all you're left with. So let's go through it right now. So this is the main screen here, what they call the home screen, and on the screen here you've got different drive modes: Eco, Comfort, Sport. Then you've got a little widget here for media, and the nav, and then the range and odometer and so on. So currently 51% stated charge, 241 kilometers predicted range, tire pressure, and that's WLTP range, by the way. And then you can flick between that and also the odometer, which is 1,302 kilometers. So I've put on over 1,000 kilometers on this car, testing it over the last week or so. Yeah, 1,000 Ks, eh? So 39.2 kilowatt hours for accessories used so far in that entire time, and 216.7 kilowatt hours energy used, and 16.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers efficiency. That's good stats there, right there. Okay, so the rest of the screen is pretty blank here. I wonder whether you can change that to your desktop kind of background. We'll see. This is probably a notifications tab, yeah, or messages, yep. And then there's also driver profile settings too, which is handy. This is not my car, so I've not really played around with this too much. I'm sure there's an app as well, which I don't have access to at this stage. You can also hide the widget there in that corner. And then up here in the top right corner, we've got some more telemetry. So you've got speedometer, gear, cruise control settings, posted speed sign, lane assist, seat belt indicator, lights, park brake, those kind of things. You can also do voice assist as well from that. Sorry, that keeps going out of focus. And then this corner here, you've got things like time, connectivity, Bluetooth, what else? Yeah, dash cam, internal camera, and then phone projection. You've got this ellipsis as well there with different shortcuts too. So that goes straight to Apple CarPlay, of course. And then to get out of Apple CarPlay, you can just press this home button here again. That brings you back to the screen. And then down the bottom, you've got air conditioning settings, which is pretty handy. Quick shortcuts to climate, demisters, recirculate. And then if you want to go to the air conditioning setting proper, press that, and that brings up the actual controls themselves. Heated steering wheel, ventilated heated seats, and then rear AC settings there too. And then you can sync or unsync the cabin, passenger and driver, and then more settings there as well. And you can activate the rear wiper from here. Boot, volume for the passenger. There's also a volume control here as well on the steering column. And let's have a look at the nav to start with, given that's the widget right here for us. So from here, look, there's some shortcuts here too. I assume that's the charging stations. Yep, some nearby EV chargers, which is handy, of course. There we go. And it's good to see the Tesla ones there too. So Tesla Chatswood can be used by all EVs. What about Tesla Pittwater Road DY? I didn't think that was an all EV one, but certainly all the other chargers are here as well. That one at Macquarie is definitely not for all EVs, so yeah, that probably needs to be looked at, given that not all Tesla superchargers can be used by all EVs. It's a bit confusing, I know, for new EV owners at the moment, but it is what it is currently. Now, does this have native EV trip planning? So let's say we want to go to Melbourne, Victoria. If I plug that in, this is very reminiscent of the BYD nav as well, and maybe even the MG one. So I wonder whether it's just a white label navigation system. It takes a little while to load, I gotta say. Interesting. 8 hours, 34 minutes. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's see whether we just press go. So it just acts like a native dumb nav, unfortunately. There's no en route charging. So that for me is not good enough for an EV. I think it needs to have native trip planning. Like, for example, Tesla, of course. Polestar's got it. Ford, Mustang Mach-E. Yeah, I think native trip planning should really be standardized at this day and age. And then you can see, I don't know whether you can see this on the head-up display, you can see some AR, augmented reality directions as well. There's a whole bunch of arrows pointing left for my next turn. So yeah, and then look, you can pick charges en route, but it's not native trip planning. You've got to actually physically, manually find the charges yourself, which is kind of defeats the purpose. You need the car to give you options along the way, right? So, for example, you know, I need to know where to stop, especially for a new EV owner. Where do I stop to charge the car again? That's what we mean by native EV trip planning. Okay, let's cancel that, and then we'll go back to the home screen. So we've done that. We've done the nav. We've done. Let's have a look at media real quick. So local music, Bluetooth. Yep. And then you can also obviously have Apple CarPlay media too. And then you can flip between these different drive modes. You can customize that as well. We'll go through that in more detail in the settings. So basically that's the front screen. Let's have a look now at the apps. So we'll press this button here. Pull down the apps, navigation, music, local radio, phone, settings, 360 view, dash cam, scene mode, files, camera, energy flow, user manual, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and Amazon Music. 360 view, I think that's the camera view, there we go. 3D camera, parking sensors off. I don't know why you'd want that. I guess if you're really annoyed by the sensors, you could turn that off. It's a nice view for parking. Rear view, side views, that's good. And then settings, bring that up too. Yeah, you can make the chassis more transparent or not. Side mirror adjustment. Okay, let's close that. Yep, and let's keep going with the apps. So, sorry, press that one. Yep, other important apps would be dash cam, I guess. Let's have a look at that. So you can record the dash cam with the mic on or off. I don't really want to have my voice recorded for posterity in the dash cam, which is not my car. This is a press car, so I'm going to disagree with that. But you can see all that what's been recording in the files here over time, which is pretty handy, I guess. Continuous recording, and then there's buttons for emergency recording as well, and you can take photos too. So that is actually quite handy having that built in. Yeah. Let's have a look at some settings. So recording duration for the last 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute. It's handy. And then let's have a look at camera as well. So this is the internal camera. Hello, again, I don't want my voice to be recorded for the press car. The camera's right here. Hello there. You can see me recording the recording. It's very meta. And then you can take a photo as well, or record at the same time. And they are the save files there too. So nice to have that all in-house. And the last thing I want to show you is the energy flow. So this is the, you probably saw that during my drive from Sydney to Canberra. I showed you a bit of what was happening. It is a rear-wheel drive SUV, so all the energy is coming from the battery to the rear motor and back again via regen. And you can set the recuperation settings too. So it brings you back to the settings, which I'll talk about very shortly. And the rest of the settings here, of the apps, are very self-explanatory, so we won't go through that too much. And then we've got some more shortcuts here, or vehicle settings here. So sunshade can be open from here. There it is there. Or you can stop it straight away. No, you can't stop it from there, so that just basically fully opens it. I'll just shut it, actually, from here. Yes, side mirror closure. Head-up display, augmented reality, I showed you that before. Auto headlights, rear left child lock, rear right child lock for the door. Central screen off from there, power off, distraction warning, speeding alert, lane departure assist. Luckily these three are here as shortcuts like this. So these are the main three that I would switch off every time because they are super annoying. Especially that one, distraction warning, that's super loud. You might have seen my previous 2 videos on distraction warning, which is ironic because it's really distracting otherwise. Okay, so that is basically the apps. Let's just go back here. And you can actually, just go back to the main screen here, you can actually draw them down like that again to quickly access them from the main screen. So once again, swipe left for the shortcuts here. Let's go through that right now. So light settings, connectivity here, wiper settings, and the 3 annoying things to turn off every time. Rotating screen shortcut, adjustments for the side mirrors. So there we go. It is screen control. Some people may not like that. Right side controls there. And then, what else? Sunshade on and off there. Let's have a look at rotating screen. So you can rotate to the center or to the driver or all the way to the passenger. Obviously, as the driver, you'd want that to you when you're driving. So I've got auto brightness there. You can turn the screen off this way too. Press the brake pedal or touch the center screen to get it going again. So yep, pretty easy there. And then this button here edits the shortcuts. As you can see, you can add tailgate settings, DVR emergency recording button, auto defogging, roadside assistance, in addition to the others you've got there already. Okay, so that's the shortcuts. Swipe back to the right. Let's now play with the settings of the car, which is this one. Oh, one thing too is that if you move your seat at any time, you can actually save the driver position or just reset the driver position for that profile. That's pretty handy. And then you can also adjust the passenger position as well. Okay, so let's push on. Under lights, you've got settings here. Smart main beam, that's handy for oncoming cars. Ambient lighting settings too. Static or breathing dynamic mode for ambient lights. And yep, other light settings down here too. Headlight off delay when you leave the car. Auto wiper settings. Rear wiper washer. Oh, this is where it is. I was trying to find it before because there's no like actual button for it. So you see it wiping there. Yeah, so you actually got to go through the screen. Maybe there's a shortcut for it. Okay, so sunshade, tailgate. You can set the height of the tailgate. And other door settings here too, all very customizable. Car finding notification indicators and horn, or just indicators only. Cabin, yep, mirror adjustment, seat adjustment, driver's seat easy access is the seat basically going down all the way back every time you open the door and get in. Rotating screen can be adjusted from here, or you can just fine tune it like that. I like to have it on smart mode, so whenever I sit down on my seat, it just comes back to me. Shortcut keys. So yeah, you can adjust the shortcuts or customize it to your heart's content. There's lots of options to these buttons here. So these shortcuts right there. So yeah, for my one, I have short press for side mirror fold unfold for this button. So you can basically adjust whatever you want for each one, which is pretty handy. Wireless phone charging on and off, which is just the one pad here on the left. Obviously a remnant from left-hand drive. And then charging settings, so all the consumption details here. I've gone through that in my road trip video. Check that out for yourselves. You can set the maximum charge level for the car. Ideally for an NMC battery, which is what this is, there should be a stop point for like 80 to 90% for daily use, and then like for long drives 100%. So that could be something that could be tweaked for Deepal, I think, if you're listening, Deepal. Scheduled charging from there, and then whether you want to unlock the charge port after finishing charging. Head-up display settings, adjusting the brightness and the height, and more settings there as well, what you want on the head-up display. Drive mode, so Eco, Comfort, Sport. Now, when I first picked up this car, I tried to customize all my settings, but I realized very quickly that it went back to, I think, comfort straight away every time I started driving again, which to me is pointless because I want it on my settings all the time. I don't want to have to swipe back to this each time. So I've given up because there's no point in me having to fiddle with that every time I drive. So I'm just happy with comfort now for every drive. But if you really want to bother going back to the customize screen, then you can customize all these things like regen setting, steering mode, acceleration mode. So yeah, go nuts with that. And then cruise pilot, which is the cruise control settings. Once again, that's all here. Tolerance for the speed, it's good. Again, lane change assist, I like to have it on late, otherwise it's just too sensitive. And same with forward collision warning, I think always goes back to early, even though I've tried putting it back on late. Although admittedly it hasn't been too sensitive this loan, which is good. Yeah, door opening warning, that that does come up actually if I try to open the door and someone's next to me or there's a car next to me. So that is quite handy. And then you've got display settings here, light mode, dark mode. Yeah, I've actually had it on dark mode the whole time, but that's fine. It's probably better for my eyes. Automatic brightness adjustment, that worked pretty well. Time zone settings, we're in Sydney in Australian Eastern Daylight Time, 24-hour time. And units, and there's screen clean mode as well. Screen does get quite grubby. That's not a problem unique to this car. Most EVs now with the screen gets quite grubby after prolonged use. Sound effects settings, pretty self-explanatory again. Now these are the 3 low-speed pedestrian warnings, and I think alarm tone is also for indicator sound. So I've got it on medium. Highs like that. Low is too soft for me, so medium is just right. And the low-speed pedestrian alarm, so that's Vast Sky. Slow sequence. Star Cruise, I think that'd be too annoying for me. Slow sequence, and then Vast Sky. I think I have it on Vast Sky normally. It's probably the least annoying of the 3. Speaker, now you can have just the driver speaker, which is behind my head here on the headrest. There's a speaker right there. Sometimes with the alerts, it just pops up here, even though the rest of the car can hear it, but I can hear it extra loud, which is sometimes a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. You can turn the headrest off too, which is good. So balance, yep, all these things you can adjust. External speaker, so if you really want to annoy people around you, you can turn that on. For media, maybe if you're having a party. Turn down the volume when the door is open, that's good. So it's quite customizable from that point of view. So voice control, yep, you can turn that on or off. And then language, German's there as well, interesting. And then cabin camera, the gesture recognitions, you can use different gestures to do things like take a photo, pause the song, hang up the phone, answer the phone, mute. It's interesting. Yep, you can do that if you like. And then last thing, or a couple more things, connectivity. So Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, hotspot devices, pretty standard these days. Good to see them here. And then lots of safety settings here too. So yep. And then information about your car. Qualcomm Snapdragon chip, I believe this car has. Memory, storage, and then I've just software updated it to OS 2.0 since I took delivery of this car. And you can rename your vehicle too. And lots of privacy settings there. So if you really don't want the car to record anything, you can turn them all off. It's not a problem. So yeah, that's pretty much a rundown, everyone, of the Deepal S07 settings. Pretty self-explanatory. Unfortunately, a lot of things like the driver alerts do default back to on every time you drive. That's one thing that is annoying, unfortunately. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward, and I think you'll pick it up pretty quickly. Most things are pretty easy to find, and the UX is quite good. Alright, well, thanks so much everyone for watching, and to those who've just taken delivery of a Deepal S07, congratulations. Make sure you leave a comment and tell us how you find the car. Otherwise, everyone else, leave a comment as well, see what you think about this car, compared to, say, something else in the same segment, like Xpeng G6, Model Y, Kia EV5, maybe even the Zeekr X. Lots of options now in 2025. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. Until the next Ludicrous Feed video, happy charging.